Hi, everyone. It's Monique Alvarez, and we are back. It is time for a Clapback Confessions. I don't know how I missed this last week. I guess I was exhausted because we got our house on the market, and I think I slept for like 3 days. So, in any case, we are here. I'm going to make sure that this is streaming over to Facebook. Sometimes it is wacky jacky. If you have not joined me on a Clapback Confessions, this is a new series that I'm doing to give 15 seconds of fame to all the jackhole jackies, and it gives me an opportunity to stay fabulous. Because what I've learned is that one of the reasons, there's a whole lot of reasons. One of the reasons why women aren't as vocal, they're not as bold, they're not as clear, they don't express themselves the way they want to be expressed, they're not fully self-expressed, the reason they don't promote themselves, the reason they don't sell, the reason they don't have higher price points, the reason why yada, 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 is because if you're in the online space, there is a really good chance if you shine too bright or you grow too tall, somebody's going to come slap you down, and they're going to do their best to take you down a notch. And I have experienced this over and over and over. I started my business 16 years ago. I came online about 10 years ago. And what I found is it does not take long to figure out the rules in the online space. Anyone know what I'm talking about? I remember the first time I experienced it. So in the beginning, I was like, oh, it's a whole new world. Like I knew the in-person world. I could BNI and chamber all day and night. And I came into the online space. I had two babies. I had two babies in 12 months. We were living in Mexico. My dream was to give my kids, the first gift I wanted to give them was the gift of travel. And so I had to figure out the online space. I could not use the same methods that I used before. And I couldn't figure it out. It was like this whole new world. And one day I just decided I'm going to tell one story a day. That's my whole strategy. That's my whole plan. I'm going to tell one story a day. Hi, Emma. Oh, welcome. Emma is in LA today, so she can join live. And I'm so glad you're stateside, Emma. Somehow I feel like I could reach out and hug you. So I just committed to telling one story a day. I didn't really have much of a plan. It was just I tell a story, click off, and say, whoever's meant to see me, I'll be at the top of their feed. And I got a client, and she was living in Australia, and she helped me see, like, I could have clients anywhere in the world. They didn't have to be in Tucson or San Diego or the United States. They could be anywhere. And so I noticed that she was in a Facebook group. I noticed some other people that I was kind of becoming friends with were in these various Facebook groups. I was in Facebook groups for traveling families. That's what gave me the courage to travel with my kids, because everyone's like, oh my gosh, your kids will die in another country. Like people don't have babies in other countries. It's always very fascinating. And so I joined this Australian Facebook group, and I shouldn't say it was really Australian, but it had an Australian admin. And I really like Australians. Like we vibe, right? I know. We will meet in person again, Emma. I like Australians a lot. Like they, they're a little bit wild and crazy. They're very vocal. They're very fun. Those are my kind of people, right? I don't work well with people who are too serious. And I was, she had rules. So I made note of the rules. I had them in my phone, and I was posting and going live every single time I could. Now, this was before like every admin charged to promote in their group, right? Those were the good old days. And so I was the most consistent mother chucker, including I was more consistent than the admin. So I literally had, Monday, you can do a post about this. Tuesday, you can do this, all the things. And I started getting an insane number of clients from this group. And a lot of people started commenting on my lives. You could even go live in this group. That was my thing, because live video was brand new. And I figured out if I went live every day, that was the golden ticket for me. If people saw me and heard me, it was like the microwave method. I don't have a microwave in my house. I'm very anti-microwave, but the microwave method online video, I loved. It was perfect. And what ended up happening is my lives were getting a lot of comments, and people who became my clients were going back in the group like, oh, I just love Monique and yada, yada. We're working together. And the admin got super jealous. And one day she just kicked me right out of the group, blocked me for life. And that was the first time I was like, oh, if you do too well, if you shine too bright, somebody's going to slap you. The problem is that, number one, I think and I want to make this really clear, if you're a woman in the online space and these things happen to you, the worst thing you can do is not talk about it, not tell anyone. So I didn't talk about this. I didn't tell Derek. I didn't tell a friend. I didn't talk about it in the online space. It just happened. And I just like, and I kept moving. The only reason I say it's the worst thing that you can do is because what I learned the hard way is the first time didn't knock me out, not the second time, not the third time, but oftentimes the sixth or seventh time, because I had not talked about it, had not, really processed it. I just kept going, right? It would knock me so hard. And Derek would be like, what's wrong? Like, why does this one person mean so much? But it wasn't about that one person. It was about the 5 or 6 people that had come before them. And so I have been away from the online space for a year and a half. I went to help with a family local business. That's a whole nother clapback session. And one of the things I promised myself coming back into the online space is that I would never do that again. Number one, I wouldn't keep it to myself and just sort of stuff it down or hope that it was, flowing off me, because it wasn't. I would not be silent about it in the online space. And I would do this very big and public thing with it. So other women who were going through similar things could be like, oh, I'm not the only one. Because when it happens to you, you kind of like, this is how I felt about it. I kind of look around and think, I don't want to talk about it because, like, what if I'm the only one? Like, what if I, what the worst thing that happened is I started going, well, what if I should have just not posted all the times I could post? She said I could, but maybe I shouldn't have. Or maybe if I was just like, a little, it basically was, I would go through this mental process of how could I dumb or dull myself down? Anyone ever done that? It's the freaking worst. I got knocked for a 6th time. It happens to me too. Yes, I've not been talking about it. Okay, so Emma, that's why that's why all this is resonating with you. So I promised myself coming back in the space, because I think it's not going to happen again. This is the worst lie that anyone could think, is like, you're going to do really well. You're going to be very visible. You're going to be very vocal. You're going to be fully self-expressed. You're going to be rich and powerful and influential, and all your dreams are going to come true, and nobody's going to say a bad word about it. It's just not going to happen. I can tell you that. If I know one thing for sure, it's that. So some of you have seen, like I've spent a lot of time observing. I've taken a lot of time to figure out like what's taking the temperature, what's going on in the online space, where am I at, what do I want to do? And I have sort of been staging myself back in, phases of coming back in. And I have been experimenting. I've been doing all the things, and it just became so crystal clear. Last weekend, I told Derek, like, I have it all figured out. Like, I know exactly what I want to do. The same fucking thing I've always done. Like, why did I think I needed a different strategy? It worked. Just because, there's a different president, or just because the world's in a different place, just because people are freaked out, just because whatever, people want to complain about the algorithms now, doesn't mean I change my strategy. Like I put all the puzzles together. I had this whole board. I did all the things. I was a detective. It's the same. So this week, I stepped into, Chris calls it, like, I returned home. Like I just kind of returned back to where I was, like went right back to where I left off. And in my posts, posting in groups, going live. I used to go live every day, used to post in groups every day. I just did the whole thing I've always done for the last 10 years. And holy moly. So this is what I want you to know. And I want you to know this is what happens, because, and today I'm going to slap somebody, but I'm also going to share the other side of it. Because what I also learned is when you get haters and trolls and jackhole jackies on the internet, it gives you this skewed point of view, and it's easy to forget the people who love you, who are, they are changed because of your power and your presence and your voice and your essence. So we're actually going to do both today. So this is something that Facebook just popped this up. Okay, so I don't know if you all have the we call it like a professional account, but it gives you so many statistics. So in the last 28 days, 334,000 people saw my content on Facebook. So they gave me this little graph. But then this is something that I haven't seen before. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention. It says you published 22% more posts in the last 7 days. That's what I do. I create a lot of content, right? But listen to this, and got 200% more new followers. I told you in yesterday's video that I woke up with like new follower, friend request, like pages of notifications of friend requests. Like over 200 of you sent me a 200, let me make that clear. Over 200 of you sent me a DM in about the last 24, 48 hours. You got 200% more new followers. So this is what I want you to know. When you are fully yourself, when you're leading yourself, when you're in your essence, when you're in your power, when you're not filtering, you're not censoring, you're not holding back, you're not dumbing down, dulling down, that's what will happen. People will respond. I'm telling you, I could experiment with 100 women on this. Bring them to their fullest, truest essence, and this will happen every single time. There's signs. So, of course, what happened yesterday, and some of you probably saw this, I posted this in a group. How many of you are in the We Meet on Wednesdays group? So I'm in this group, and I decided to do that post about the most underserved market are people, who make $500,000 more a year. So that post went in, and let's see here, it got a lot of attention, and there were probably like 40 comments of women who said, I learned the same thing. And basically in my post, I didn't just talk about how I figured out 16 years ago why I wanted to focus on established people who already had money in the bank and all that, but my recent experiments and why they just confirmed what I learned 16 years ago, what I learned 10 years ago, all the things. So I gave specific examples. And one of the things I said is that, I've given back a ton. I've tithed in my business. I've given scholarships. People are in other countries, other currencies, other, what do you call it? The exchange rate. I have done all the things so that, women in South America, women in South Africa, women wherever, all over the world, wherever they're at, can have the opportunity to participate in what I do. But what I found is that most people, they won't actually participate or appreciate it because they just don't have enough skin in the game. And oftentimes, because they're new to business or they're new to investing in themselves, they're not acclimated to it. Like emotionally and mentally, they're unstable. Because when you invest in yourself and you are growing into the best version of yourself, it throws all the bells and whistles, and all the sirens start going off inside of someone's body and mind. And it's like, no, let's go back to comfort. So who's the first person they blame, right? Whoever's telling them you can become more. So I had a line in here somewhere. I don't even remember where it was. And I just said, basically, I found that people, they bit the hand that helped them. And so basically the experiment is over, and I'm going back to what I always did. So all kinds of women who said, yep, I've learned the same thing. This has been my experience as well. And what I want you to know is I don't need a bunch of fangirls. I don't need people who are like, yeah, I love you. Da, da, da. But it wasn't that for starters. It was women who were like, yes, I have wanted to help people. I have wanted to give back. I have wanted to do these things. And there's been interesting ramifications. What I find is when women are generous because they can, it does not usually lead to a positive ending. So, and I have so many examples of this. So this one lady, now I can't find her. She probably blocked me already. She chimes in. Wendy chimes in and says, I've been thinking a lot about this post, and while I respect your experience and perspective, I see this through a different lens. I took one of your trainings a while back and appreciate your skill, even though our styles didn't quite align. You'll see why we didn't quite align. But I've always respected your drive and clarity. That said, I personally don't believe the wealthy are an underserved group. In fact, I think they're incredibly well-resourced and have entire industries built around anticipating and catering to their needs. So she goes on to list like luxury brands, elite masterminds, VIP coaches, all the things. And she says, everyone actually wants to help them. So she goes on and talks about that she would rather work with people who have heart, vision, grit, I thought the same thing, right? 400,000 times over the last 16 years. The work might be messier, slower, and full of emotional roller coasters, but that's where I believe the deepest transformation happens. And she says, this is my perspective. So I respond to her and I say, you know what? All perspectives are welcome here. And so in my comment, I basically say, oh, and then this is what she said. She said, I think that why people bite your hand is because you expect something from them. And it's like, let me tell you something. I don't give someone a scholarship in a book or a program and then think they're going to give something back. They don't even have anything to give me back, right? Oftentimes, they don't even understand what they're being gifted. So I never did that to get something back. But she says, I think the reason you've been bit is because you expected something in return. And so I go on to say, no, when I say bit, I mean like specific things. My program stolen word for word, fraud, hate groups, slander. And then she comes back and says, well, I don't think that actually happened. I think that was a perspective. Like, bitch, like basically what she said is all of that is like a figment of your imagination. So what I want you to see here is that when people have not had your experience, so I go on and we go back and forth a little bit. And I basically say, like, let me bottom line it. So I'm all for having a conversation, but you don't actually have anything to bring here because she doesn't have a business. She doesn't have clients. She hasn't offered multiple price points. She hasn't ever catered to the wealthy. She has not made a lot of money. So she has no freaking clue if the wealthy are an underserved group or if people behave in a certain way after you are generous with them. She has no clue. This is all hypothetical for her. But guess what it was? It was the perfect opportunity for her to come disagree with me and then follow it up with undermining. And this is what people will do. The very first clue is when people don't acknowledge what happened. Like, I'm really sorry people did that. Like, you gifted them a thing and then they like sued you. What a bunch of jackals. Never acknowledged it and goes on to say, like, well, maybe that was actually your fault because you expected something in return. When people say the bad things that happen to you or the bad behavior of others is actually your fault, watch out. And this is the belief, I said this in my post, is that people believe that bad things should happen and are totally justified if you're rich or if you're powerful, if you're influential, if you're successful, if you're beautiful, if you're skinny, if you're happy, if you're in love. It's totally acceptable, just so you know. That is literally the thought process of people. Now, this is the other thing I want to say. This lady did come to one of my trainings and she has been a friend. And let me tell you, she's never, ever commented on another single fucking thing. That is also a clue. When people show up, they rock up to your post that's doing well and people are excited and they're like, oh my gosh, Monique, this is so refreshing. This is great. They are going to rock up on that post and go, you know what? I disagree. And you know what? You deserved it. And you know another thing? I don't even know what I'm talking about, but I'm just hoping to rain on your fucking parade today. That's what those people do. Why did she even feel the need to comment? Exactly. And like I said, if somebody would have said, hey, Monique, I've done the same thing and this is what I found. I have done this and this and this, and this is what helped me. I'd have been like, thank you for that tip, because I'll take a tip from somebody who's actually on the field playing the fucking game. But you know who I have no desire to listen to? The people who are up in the bleachers, like eating their hot dog, drinking their beer, and eating popcorn. You don't have any freaking clue. And this is what I want to tell you, women, is if you're on the field and you've got sweat and you're freaking playing the game, the people who are not playing the game will tell you how you should have played the game different. Just freaking you see how it gets me all fired up? I'm like sweating and all hot and bothered. And this is what I want you to know. People are like, Monique, why are you so angry? I was fucking born this way. Okay. You know what? My dad tells me as soon as I was delivered, as soon as I was born, they put me in one of those like little plastic containers to weigh me. And he said, I swear on everything. My dad's not a tall teller. He says, your face was bright red. You were screaming. You were crying. You were pissed. And you put these I always had long arms. I got these Inspector Gadget. I have unusually long arms. He said, you put your hands up on the side of this thing. You pulled yourself up and you just like hissed at everybody. You know why? I was thinking, this fucking planet again, right? They always get me here because they promise me donuts and chocolate and charcuterie boards and tacos. Let me tell you something. I'm just spicy. I got fire all over my charts, and I refuse to become like this soft-spoken lady who says things quietly and isn't feisty and fiery. It's who I am. Deal with it or get out. So exactly, had nothing to contribute. So that was what happened there. What I want you to know is there was tons of good things that happened. And Derek and I have talked about this a lot, about why the brain, there's a word like why it is almost skewed to focus on the negative. It goes back to, when we were like cavemen. It's part of survival. Like if back in the day, it wasn't really a good idea to spend too much time celebrating because, there could still been like a bear behind the rock. But we don't have to live that way anymore. And so what I want to encourage each of you to do is to literally every single day take notes, take screenshots, keep a collection, a catalog, a scrapbook, however the freaking frack you want to do it, of all the good things in your life, all of the people who appreciate you, all of the people who send you a positive note or something, acknowledge you in some way, shape, or form, because that will help build you up. So then when the jackhole jackies come to take you down a notch or come to take you out like for real, you are so much more bolstered. So I want to tell you a couple of things. I got an email, and I don't have email on my phone because it's like part of how I stay sane. So I might have to ask Derek if he'll pull it up. But I want to tell you about a few things that I got. So a lady who I worked with all last year, a private client. I didn't work with a lot of people last year, but she was very unique and special, and I couldn't tell her no. We were just, oh my gosh, like talk about a soulmate client. So she texted me Wednesday morning and said, I loved your post, and you looked gorgeous. By the way, we have talked about this before, and it was something I initially struggled with. I always wanted to lower my prices, but because we didn't, we have the most quality people. We've met the most amazing people, and not one time have they ever asked us to lower our prices. They don't say a word about the price, and they don't try to tell us how we should be cheaper. I really appreciate you so much. Here's another message. This also came from a private client. Let me find it. Monique, I want you to know there's hardly an area of my life that you have not touched, and that I'm actually getting teary saying this now. I want you to know how much you have touched my life. It's been in so many ways, and you have been a huge blessing to me. Then we go over to Messenger. Oh man, there's a lot of messages in here. Hold on, let me see. After my content this week. Good morning, Monique. I'm sorry for not reaching out earlier. I wanted to thank you for allowing me to see the breadth of what my business could be. I've raised my prices, and this would allow my income to become 6 figures. In the past, your posts inspired me, but now I get to tell you thank you in real time. I'm going to reevaluate my services and how I show up in the world. I can no longer show up small or for those who do not have big visions. This is why we do what we do. Am I right? So I want you to think about the people who've done this for you. Here's another one. Woman, you speak to me every day. You are absolutely correct. I want richer than fuck people to have my work because they are the ones with money, and money equals power. I want power in the hands of healed, healthy, thriving human beings who are capable of using their power for good. This is not someone else's job. It's mine. Thank you so much. I'm working on it now. So many messages. And I mean, I'm not lying to you when I say I have so many of these messages I've got to respond to, and I'm going to, because this matters. When people get you, and when people feel you, and when you help people and they recognize it and they come back and tell you, that's gold. Like, honestly, that is the thing for me. I love stuff. I love food. I love clothes. I love travel. I love right? Fancy, all the things. But this is the reason I get up and do it every day. Because what I can tell you is after dealing with so many jackholes online, there did come a time, and this is why it was so easy for me to leave the online space and to step into a local family business. I really began to wonder if it was worth it. Is it actually worth it? And this is what I want you to know, and I want to address this directly because a lot of women have reached out to me. One this morning, just maybe about an hour ago, and said, Monique, I've read all your posts, I watched your videos, and this is the thing that I'm not sure of. I'm not sure it's worth it. I'm not sure it's worth it. And this is what I will say from the rooftops, like, get me a fucking microphone. It is so worth it. Do not allow the jackholes to win. Do not think that because you're going to have to deal with this person or that person or the other person, that it's not worth it. That's what they want you to think, that it's not worth it. They literally do not pay your bills. They do not take care of your children. They're not making you dinner. They don't offer you anything. Do not allow them to influence you. Do not let them win. What I'm saying to you is what Derek tells me every other day. And I know you need someone to tell you every other day. Keep this video if you need to. Watch it back again. Keep track of all those clients and all those things when people say, I love you, I appreciate you, I see you. The woman who responded to the email, because all the social media posts and all the videos are going out through email as well. And a woman responded to the very first one and said, Monique, I watched your video. God, I felt you. And I want you to know, I absolutely see who you are. Through all the stuff, right? I know who you are at your core. And then she told me a beautiful story. She had written her story in one of our collaboration books, God, probably a year and a half, 2 years ago. And she told me the story of when she showed this story to her mother right before she passed away and what it meant to her mom. And I was like, you know what? I'm printing this freaking email off. Like, I'm a boomer. I print everything off. I'm a pen and paper person. Because we need these reminders. Our work matters. What we do matters. And the people who don't matter cannot have a say in our lives and business. They cannot. I don't know who's rocking up to your post with nothing beneficial. I don't know who's in your inbox going, you know what? He really shouldn't wear white. And I didn't like your makeup today. I mean, that's what happens, right? You know what? I'm not sure if you're actually married to Derek. You know, I just want you to know that you must have done something bad in a past life. That's why you lost your daughter. This is real shit. And you know what? I will never be quiet about it again. I'll be so loud. Thank you for joining me for this week's session of Clapback Confessions. You know, these people, they show up because they need some attention. So I'm going to give them some attention. And I'm also going to process it with you and remind you, do not let this impact you. And every time you go to write an email or you go to write a social media post or you go to do a video, and if you're like, I don't know what people are going to think of this. This could get criticism. This could get hate. I could lose a client over this. Right? Then pause and remember what I said here. Don't take it down a notch. Don't dumb it down. Don't dull it down. Turn it up. In the past, what I used to do is turn it down a little bit until I kind of like got myself back and then I'd come back. But this is what happens. If I was turning it down and then turning it back up, I was actually never going higher. What I'm committed to now is that when this happens, I never dial it down to come back up to where I was. I actually only ratchet up. So you mother truckers better watch out. So have a wonderful rest of your day. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll be back. You know, I'm back. I'll see you soon. Keep on being super bright, super tall, super bold, super fabulous. Until next time.